Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Coast Connections. I'm Elizabeth Heinz, and we're here today to talk about the most popular and famous language in the world, the language of music, and how music connects everybody, connects community, connects one-to-one, and the transformative power of music as well. And to help us do that, we have the pleasure of having Barbara Livingston from the Nanaimo Conservatory of Music. Welcome, Barbara.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm really happy to be here.
It's really interesting to have you on board with us this evening, because the Nanaimo Conservatory of Music is going through some tremendous changes at this moment to sort of roll with the times, mix things up, make it interesting, appeal to all audiences.
Yep.
So we'll talk a bit about that tonight. Okay. But a little bit about what exactly the purpose of a Conservatory of Music is and what your goal is.
The mission of the Nanaimo Conservatory of Music is to promote musical excellence in the central Vancouver Island region. So we do that on many different levels: lessons, ensembles, recitals, performances. Out in our community, we're trying to get out in the community more. Our building is in the Old City Quarter, so we're trying to get out and about in the Old City Quarter and become true members of that community. So we're all about making music and making people's lives better because of music.
Mm-hmm. And Bono once said that music transforms the world because music transforms people. Absolutely.
I completely agree. Yeah. I don't agree with everything that Bono does, maybe, but I certainly agree with that.
There you go.
Absolutely.
So your work on transforming the world here on a local level, I mean, you have about 24 instructors there at the conservatory?
We have about 20 currently.
20?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what types of instruments or music are they teaching?
Many different disciplines. We have keyboard, piano, the woodwinds, flute, recorder. We have saxophone, oboe, which is a double reed instrument, bassoon, harp, which is one of our hottest instruments at the conservatory. We have a very busy harp studio there. All of the strings, violin, viola, cello, brass. We have a trumpet instructor, and he also teaches beginning brass, so basically any brass instrument for a beginner, he will certainly be able to work with the student on that. We have ensembles, we have junior orchestra, we have intermezzo strings, we have a flute choir. I mean, it's just amazing what we have there. There's something happening all the time. And one of the things that that's enabling us to get out in the community more is that we are partnering with the City of Nanaimo Parks and Rec Department by offering courses through Parks and Rec at the conservatory. So through Parks and Rec, we offer a lot of courses in things as varied as guitar lessons, kinder music classes, Head Start Suzuki classes. It's great fun, something different all the time.
That's very interesting, because when you think of a conservatory of music, you think that you need some kind of musical experience in order to become a part of. Mm-hmm. So you're appealing to everybody.
Everybody, yes. How are you going to get experience if you don't get experience, you know? Right. So, no, our teachers work with all levels of student from infancy. Our kinder music program, babies come to that program. They start when they're infants. And we have community members up to retirement age. And one of the great things is that some of our ensembles incorporate all of the different ages. Our flute choir, for instance, which is new this year, has teenagers, young people, and adults, and retired people, and they're all making music together. So
and is it strictly flutes?
Just flutes.
Wow! And how many flautists? Flutists?
People who play the flute.
Yeah. How many people are playing the flute?
Oh my gosh! I would reckon that we probably have 25 flute students, maybe. Wow. Yeah, we have 2 flute teachers, so yeah.
That must sound tremendous when
it's pretty cool.
They've hit their stride with their tune.
They also, the flute teacher also has a recorder ensemble. So once a week we have recorders in our ensemble room playing away, and it's a wonderful environment. It's just so beautiful to do your work while you're being serenaded by instruments.
Because, of course, your office is right in that building.
Yes,
so,
absolutely. Yes, we're all in the office, in the building, so we hear it all.
Now, some people might say that classical music is sort of on the way out, but there's a reason why it's classical. It's because it's been around forever. How do you sort of bring the younger generation to become classical musicians and have an appetite for that type of music?
Well, we don't strictly offer classical instruction. We encourage students to work on whatever they would like to work on. But as far as bringing students into the classical world, well, for instance, just this past weekend we presented a concert with the renowned Canadian pianist Angela Hewitt at the Port Theatre, but we also had a master class with Angela at VIU on the weekend, which means she worked with young students to help them on their pieces. And the audience was a great deal of the audience members were children. So we bring children to things like that, and they can get an appreciation of the wonderful music. Mm-hmm. Music touches people in many different ways, and you just have to find the right medium that will work with every student, I think.
So a student or someone who was just interested in music could come to the conservatory and perhaps try out several different types of music,
of course,
instruments, mm-hmm. see what sort of resonates with them.
Yeah, we often have that actually. Parents will call and say, my 6-year-old is really interested in playing an instrument, but he doesn't know which one he wants to play. So we encourage them to come in and meet with teachers, of violin teachers, a flute teacher, a piano teacher, and they can try them all out. And then, you know, if they show an affinity or a particular liking for a certain instrument, then we'll start talking about arranging lessons.
Nice. So what a nice exposure that you're providing. Exactly. And I might add too that this is your 40th year. The conservatory started in 1977.
Yes, indeed.
That's a long track record.
It's a long time, isn't it?
And think of all the musicians that have come out of there, and singers as well.
Yep.
Again, that transformative power that's being sent out into the world.
Absolutely.
They're touching lives, touching souls, because music is sort of I consider it a soul massage. When you've listened to a really good concert or really interesting piece.
It can take you to places where you normally wouldn't go, and it can help you get through crises in your life. Personally, I've had that happen to me many times. I've been able to use music to help me get through, you know, stressful periods or personal crises. And music is healing is music. Music is healing, and we're really happy to be able to offer that opportunity to people. Mm-hmm.
And we won't delve into it too much on this program, because we're going to do a separate program just on music therapy in the future. Mm-hmm. But you talk about the healing power of music. I mean, it can affect, you know, people with autism disorder, strokes, dementia, mm-hmm. post-traumatic stress disorder, mm-hmm. Behavioral issues, mood disorders, depression, that type of thing. And it's wonderful that that program is being grown here in Nanaimo.
Yes.
And we really look forward to hearing more.
We are thrilled to be able to host the Victoria Conservatory of Music's new Central Island satellite program for music therapy. It's been a great collaboration. As we just said, healing through music. And we had a summer camp, first time this year, for music therapy students, and that went very well. I believe they got a wonderful grant from the Children's Health Foundation of Vancouver Island, and so thankful for that. We had a wonderful week with the kids coming in and making music and enjoying themselves. We're absolutely thrilled.
That's fantastic. Mm-hmm. And let's talk a bit about your connection with the Vancouver Island Symphony, Barbara. Okay. How the conservatory and the symphony have synergies together, mm-hmm. and just what the links are there.
Well, I think the most obvious links are that, we both make music. We're both music makers in the community, but many of our faculty members are members of the Vancouver Island Symphony. So that's a huge connection. And we're very happy that they bring their experience as symphonic musicians to the conservatory.
That's a high standard of instructor that you're providing. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. One of our faculty members is actually the head of the music department at VIU, and he plays in the symphony. Mm-hmm. And he started his music career at the Conservatory of Music when he was a wee one, years and years ago. So there's the continuity that you see.
Exactly. Exactly. That's fantastic. Musical theater, music festivals.
Right.
What types of things does the conservatory participate in?
Well, we have a music theater program that we offer currently as week-long camps during spring break and also in the summer. And they're lots of fun. We know that they're going to be very noisy in the conservatory for the week that they're there, but we love it. The kids come in starting on a Monday morning. They're there all day, every day, and on Saturday they put on their big show. So it's really exciting.
What a
so
thrill.
You'll often see us down in the stores where you buy party things, and we're trying to buy props and make things and build things, and it's just a whole lot of fun.
And that's very accessible, isn't it, to a broad range of the community?
Yes, absolutely.
And if like, do you have a bursary or scholarship program, or I know you're not for profit?
Yes.
So is there a way that perhaps people that might not be able to afford something like the camp could be provided with the means to do that?
Interestingly and excitingly, we are starting in January a financial assistance program. We've received some wonderful funding, and so we're ready to go. We're jumping in January. We just got the news last week, so it's brand new and exciting. So we're really thrilled about that, the financial assistance program. We also have a scholarship and bursary program, which students can access as well. So we're really excited about the financial assistance program because we want to be able to offer what we do to everybody in the community, not just those who can afford it.
Yes, yeah, wonderful. Let's talk a little bit about the Nanaimo Youth Choir.
Sure.
Setting the world on fire. How many voices have we got in there?
They have currently 3 levels of instruction. They have the junior choir. They have a new choir this year, which is called the mezzo choir, middle mezzo choir, and then the concert choir, which is the senior group. Last summer, I think 2016, it was just before I got to the conservatory, but the concert choir went to Carnegie Hall in New York and performed at Carnegie Hall.
What a thrill.
Can't get much better than that.
I think that was the first time that happened for them too,
Yes.
wasn't it? Yes. That's a real
Very
milestone.
exciting.
Yeah.
Thrilling, and that their level of instruction is at a very high level as well. And they are a dedicated, a determined group of people, young people and adults. There are lots of volunteers who work with them. And they've shown that by going to Upper Island Music Festival and winning their classes for the last several years. Pretty phenomenal.
That
We're
is
really
phenomenal.
proud of them.
Yeah, yeah. And I understand that there's also a chamber music festival that the conservatory. How would you describe chamber music?
Well,
more intimate.
Very intimate. Our goal with the Vancouver Island Chamber Music Festival, or VICMF as we say, because the rest is too much of a big mouthful. The goal of the festival is to provide chamber music in intimate settings. So you'll find us performing in very small venues with a really diverse selection of artists, curated by the artistic director Pippa Williams, who is also principal oboe with the Vancouver Island Symphony, and she teaches oboe, saxophone, and piano at the conservatory. She is a Renaissance woman. So absolutely, as are they all.
Yes.
We're so thrilled. But Pippa brings together a really diverse, eclectic group of musicians every year. This year we had a percussion ensemble, we had a brass ensemble, we had a string quartet, we had a really interesting duo with a cellist and a singer, which was fascinating. So there's a real diversity and a broad appeal. And people like to get close. It's becoming quite a thing to have classical performances in intimate, small settings.
It's almost like a musical conversation.
Yes.
Then, when it's on such a small, sort of cozy setting like that.
And it informs the musician, I think, then, having been a professional musician myself, if you're closer to your audience, your connection with them is different than if you were on a big stage, you know, sort of separated from them. So you're very close. It becomes very intimate, and sometimes the music that's made in those instances is pretty phenomenal.
Let's talk a little bit about your background, Barbara, because you have a very musical background yourself.
Yes, I do.
So how did you come to get involved in the conservatory?
Oh gosh, How much time do you have? It was a long road, but interesting. I was a professional opera singer for about 10 years. Started at the age of 40, which is really strange and weird, but that's how it happened. And partway through that time, I started teaching opera and voice at the Victoria Conservatory of Music. And after about 10 years of performing, I decided it was time to stop. And I went back to school. I went to Capilano University in North Vancouver and got a degree in arts administration. Commuted from Victoria to Vancouver. Yeah, it was really bold, especially at the age of 50. And all of my classmates in school were, you know, the age of my child, so it was a little bit interesting that way. And then I moved to Vancouver, finally. I had been commuting back and forth for a long time to school, and then I moved there and got a job in 2010 with the Vancouver Bach Choir organization. Bach Choir, Vancouver Bach Choir, family of choirs. We rebranded Vancouver Bach Family of Choirs. And so I was with them for about 5.5 years. And I always wanted to come back to the island. I'm an island girl. I was born in Comox, grew up in Courtenay. And when this job came up last year, I looked at it and I thought, I'm going to apply for that. So I did, and here I am. So
wonderful.
Yeah.
And aren't we lucky?
Happy to be here.
Yeah, very, very. We're so lucky to have someone with your experience.
Oh, thank you,
Yes,
Elizabeth. I
thank
really
you.
appreciate that.
And that you're taking it to a new level,
Yep.
mixing things up there at the conservatory and keeping it interesting and, as we said, appealing to a very broad audience.
Absolutely.
Now, because you've also been a performer, what does that give a performer? What's the feedback that you get when you are performing? I know as someone sitting in the audience, how that moves me, and I mean, there's sort of a song or a performance for every type of emotion.
Right.
As a participant, pardon me, as a recipient of the music. But as a performer, what gifts do you get from performing and from the audience?
I would say that the audience are not merely recipients. I think they participate as well, because as a performer you can feel. I could always feel what the audience was feeling when I was singing. I knew if they weren't liking me, and I knew if they were really enjoying what I was doing.
Yes.
And so you actually work with your audience and create something together, is how I always felt when I was performing. And I felt that in order to be that way and to allow that creative process to happen, I had to be as honest and open as possible when I was performing. It's kind of like taking your clothes off or something. You're naked out there and allowing people in and letting them experience what you're able to give them through the composer's music, if that makes any sense.
That speaks to a real vulnerability.
Hugely
that
vulnerable.
You're gifting us with.
Yeah, you can't make that connection with the audience unless you are that way. And so some of my most amazing experiences were because of my interaction with, I'm getting chills, my interaction with audience members and what we were able to communicate back and forth. I worked with a conductor once who said, if you haven't made people cry, then you really haven't succeeded. And I thought at the time, oh, that's okay. But it's kind of true. You know, people would tell me how they were moved, and you know, I feel fortunate and really lucky to have been able to give people that, share that experience with people. It was always a sharing thing for me.
And that sharing, it becomes such a powerful connection.
Yes.
And again, we're social creatures, you know, with all the so-called social media, I think we've become more isolated and distant.
Absolutely.
And I think music is the original social media. I think that's, you know.
Oh, that's so true. That's great. Yeah,
well,
I agree.
When you can be moved by someone else's gift or muse, there's no truer connection. You know, to be connected by your vulnerability to perform that and mine to receive that, it's magic.
It is magic.
Yeah.
I agree.
Let's talk a little bit about the Kinder Music program, because that's quite fascinating. You mentioned that you have babies coming in.
We do.
So I bring a little, 3-4 month old baby
Absolutely.
in, and what would Kinder Music look like for my little infant?
We often peer through the windows, trying not to be seen, because they're so fun to watch. They experience music through sound, touch, feel, rhythm, vibration, and the instructor works with each child individually, and often we have family groups. We'll have a parent bring in their 2-year-old and their baby.
Okay.
So you're working with a family, which is quite interesting too.
What an interesting idea to do
it's
it.
wonderful.
To do as a family. What a wonderful way to connect with each other in that way.
Yeah, and parent participation is huge. So the parents are also down on the floor with their little ones, you know, banging things and shaking tambourines and maracas and things like that. It's quite fascinating to watch. Really exciting.
Has there been any research done on the effect of music for helping people sleep who might have insomnia? Any specific type of music that
I can't highlight any specific studies myself, but certainly music is, as we've said a number of times already, is healing. And if by using music you can allow yourself to calm down and relax, sleep will follow. You know, that is the goal. But yes, I think so, for sure.
And it's also used in palliative care as well. Music is.
Yeah, to a great degree. Also in extended care homes, assisted living homes, people come alive when they hear the music from their youth, and it's a wonderful thing. I used to, when I was a singer, I used to perform every Christmas with a friend who was a pianist, and we would go and play in different assisted living complexes, and it was wonderful. Yeah. Talk about touching an audience and creating something with an audience.
Yeah. Wonderful. Now, as we mentioned earlier, you're not for profit.
That's right.
So how can we support the conservatory? How can we volunteer there, or what are the opportunities to help support this amazing work that's been going on for 40 years?
That's right. You can
for the
call
next 40.
me for the next 40. Yeah, please call me. I have a list of things. As I mentioned, we're just inaugurating our new financial assistance program. So we're going to now be looking for funding all the time for our financial assistance program.
So corporate sponsorship opportunities,
absolutely,
individual
foundation sponsorship opportunities. We're doing some updating on our building. So we're looking at possibly running a capital campaign to upgrade our bathrooms, for instance.
And you're not flush with cash to do that.
No, so to speak. Good one.
So to speak.
No, we're not. No.
Yeah.
No. As if with all nonprofits, especially in the arts, we're just hanging on, you know, and we're dependent on our relationship with the community to be able to access funding and put it towards some wonderful things. Yeah, so call me. I have a big list.
And your number's up on the screen there,
Oh,
and your
thank you.
website.
Excellent.
And yeah, there's all kind. You've got a really good website. There's lots of really good information on all the various programs that you have. And for people that might be wanting to sort of consider something musical in their life, singing as well is something that you offer there with your voice coaching. And
that's right. We have 2 voice teachers on faculty. We have Carol Featherston, who has extensive experience in the opera world and actually is the director of Opera Nanaimo. We also have a new voice teacher this year, just started with us, named Nadia Blanchette, who is a Canadian opera singer and has just moved here to Nanaimo with her husband, Pierre Simard, who is the music director of the symphony in town.
For the past 10 years or so.
That's right, it's his 10th anniversary this year. I saw that in the paper today.
So the family has moved here now.
The entire family has now moved to Nanaimo.
What a gift for the island.
Aren't we fortunate?
Yes.
Yeah. So now Nadia joins Carol Featherston, and we have a really wonderful voice department. So
that's fantastic.
Very exciting.
Yeah, yeah. So Barbara, why do you do what you do as executive director?
Well, many answers to that. Obviously the arts. I've been in the arts since before I could talk. My mother was a wonderful singer, and I sang from the time I could open my mouth, and I've always been involved in it in some way or another, and I've tried a few times in my life to just turn my back on it, but always it comes up behind me and goes, hello, don't forget about me. And so it's always been there, and so anything I can do in the arts. When I stopped singing, I really made a conscious decision to go into arts administration. I did a little bit of research before I did that. I talked to colleagues who had been performers and gone into admin, and they said that they got the same creative buzz out of what they did in admin as they did on the stage. And I thought, okay, interesting. But you do. You know, we create wonderful stuff at the conservatory and with our team there, and we get a great feeling of satisfaction to know that we've been able to produce work together and create something wonderful.
Wow, that's very exhilarating.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah. That's excellent. Well, Nanaimo's really, really lucky to have you, Barbara, with your extensive background. And anybody who wants to hop on your website can learn of ways that they can participate.
Absolutely.
They can volunteer opportunities as well.
Definitely.
Or to be found there, or they can give you a shout.
Please, yes. I'd love to hear from people.
So we look forward to having your staff back on in the future to talk about more extensively about music therapy.
Fantastic.
But this has been a very therapeutic conversation, just having this half an hour with you to learn about the wonderful things. Thanks, you so much for the music that you're bringing to our community and to the world.
Oh, thank you so much. It was wonderful to be here.
So get out and enjoy the wonderful music we have here on the island, and support the Nanaimo Conservatory of Music any way you can. Thanks for joining us. I've been speaking with Barbara Livingston, the Executive Director of the Nanaimo Conservatory of Music. See you next time on Coast Connections.